all things comes an end. We are no more than a character in a story, our lives easily extinguished by an arrow or a stone. Turn the page and thousands die. And for what? For the pride of two leaders who are inexorably drawn together by the power of two swords and a mutual destiny. And then the sword of frost and Armageddon's blade clash. A blinding flash. Another turn of the page. The destruction brings earthquakes, volcanoes, floods, and deaths uncounted. And acts of bravery too. Just when it seems we are doomed, we flip the page once more, and countless fortunate refugees flee through portals into another world. Is this the end of our tale? No, we are the pawns of fate. There are still many pages to turn. And to all things comes a beginning.
Can you go years without talking to another human being? What about untold months, snatching your meals from the forest floor and sleeping in muddy pits? Sanity is a spider, clinging to a fluttering thread of web, unaware of the fingers reaching for it, catching it, plopping it in my mouth. They called me Ghoul and Eater of Children as they tied me to the stake. That last nickname was almost amusing. To this day I've still not tasted human flesh, or blood either. That part of me that still requires sustenance, hunger for what normal people eat. A juicy piece of beef, or perhaps some salmon, grilled over a wooden fire. The rest of me, the undead half, hungers for nothing. That half is empty. But the truth did not stop the people of Waitrose from trying to kill me. I had wandered too close to a farmer's cottage, looking for chicken eggs. Ever since the reckoning, I had lived like an animal hiding in the wilderness. I ate raw bugs and rats, and my one delicacy when I could find it was sucking the yolk from a Rubin's egg. I was a creature that lurked in the night. The slightest noise sent me running back to the hole I slept in. On that particular night, I must have been distracted by my hunger, because I did not hear someone approaching me until it was too late. I was in a coop, chipping holes in the eggs with my long fingernails, when I finally heard something. So I grabbed a couple of chickens and I twisted their necks so they wouldn't alert anyone to my presence. And I stepped outside to find myself already surrounded. There were perhaps a dozen of them, all armed with farm tools. I tried to run, then a pitchfork pierced my right shoulder and they quickly pinned me to the ground, clubbing and kicking at my body. The worst part of it all came at the end, when someone ripped the chickens from my grasp. With my arms and legs bound, I was dragged for several miles behind a wagon to the town of Waitrose. which had a small garrison to support the expansion of the Great Arcane's eastern borders. As you can expect, they immediately tied me to the stake and piled bundles of dry wood around my feet. That's when I began to shake with fear. Fire. I had reason to fear it. A fire was responsible for my half-dead condition. I still remember the incredible searing pain, the indescribable agony that bites down to your very soul. My fear gave me strength as the officer in his polished armor stood out before the crowd with a torch in hand. I began to struggle against my bonds. "In the name of Queen Emilia Nighthaven and the Great Arcane, I put you to everlasting death, creature." "I'm innocent," I shouted. "I only killed a couple of chickens."
"He's the one who ate my son!"
someone screamed. So, someone's brat had gone missing, and I was to be blamed for it. Just my luck.
"Burn him!"
The officer stepped forward and lowered a torch to the kindling. "Your kind is never innocent." By the time the first waft of smoke hit my nostrils, I felt the skin of my dead right hand come loose just enough for me to slip free of my bonds. It had been years since I've casted a spell, but my life depended on it. I raised my hand over my head and muttered the words of magic, as if it had only been a few hours. I guess you never really forget. I jumped over the burning sticks and fled, knowing that my spell would send an unearthly chill into the muscles of everyone present, slowing their movements just enough for me to escape. I ran as I've done since the reckoning, since my master died. I ran. My experience at Waitrose reminded me that civilization just meant death for me, so I stayed away. I fled deep into the wild forest with no goal in mind except to put as much distance between the fire and myself as possible. I don't even know how long or how far I ran. Over the years I learned it's best not to think. I was an animal. As long as I kept reminding myself that I was an animal, survival was much easier. I kept to the woods, mostly. A few nights later I came upon a field of gravestones, a graveyard. The sky was clear, and the moon white-silver. I walked around a dozen or so tombstones, reading their names and dates out loud. Most had been related, and all died within a few years of each other. Mothers and fathers, children. This was how the new world welcomed us, with pain and death. I sat on the grass and pressed the living side of my face against the cold surface on one of the markers. My first childhood memories of a crypt, the musky smell of earth, the silent darkness, and the vampire who kept me alive to feed on my young blood. I have come full circle, I said out loud. Why? Of all places I could have stumbled upon, why had I come here? Was it fate? No, I don't believe in fate. Our future is what we make it. But perhaps the universe has something in mind. Standing, I felt a power building within me. It was born from my inner rage. Rage I'd felt for the people of Waitrose, and for everyone who had tried to kill me just because of my half-dead form, and even for the vampire who kept me locked up for so long in his crypt like a chicken in a coop. I dropped to my knees and I squeezed my fingers into the damp earth. I could feel the rotting body sleeping beneath the ground. My body quivered as the magical energy flowed down my arms and through my fingers into the cold dirt. I knew at that moment that I'd survived all these years and all these horrors for this moment. The universe had a use for me. That night, beneath the crescent moon, I was truly reborn. I am Guldarth, half dead.